Welcome everyone, the final video of 2020, and God, what an awful year it's been. So let's go ahead and talk about pretty much what I thought was the last match of Luke Harper in WWE. So while there was the Bludgeon Brothers run they had, I mean, then they stopped because reasons. Oh man. Um Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper at the time, had came back to wrestle again in WWE during his run, and he was returned fighting Dominik Dijakovic at the Worlds Collide event, which was an NXT special cross brand event. Yeah, that was a thing. They did this year, but they did in 2020, but like everyone's kind of forgotten about that. But yeah. So you see, let's see, his last match till Dominik Dijakovic, who was what? Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. I'll get back to that. So there was no build up. There's no story here. It's just we're having this big special. We need talent. So let's get some NXT alumni taking on the NXT of tomorrow. And yeah, Dominik Dijakovic and Luke Harper, Brodie Lee, was gonna tear the house down. If you would see later down the road what Dominik Dijakovic would do with Keith Lee, and you know that's awesome. And Luke Harper is Luke Harper. So yeah, they had a very okay match. I wish it went on a little bit longer for them to feel more of a connection. It's honestly a good match. It was the last, I think this was the last singles match of Brodie Lee's career in WWE. Let's double check on that. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it was. It really was. Oh, poor man. Like, yeah, yeah. Save for house shows. But yeah, he and Dominik Dijakovic, like they were, and they addressed him, and they broke him break character, kissing his wife, patting his kid on the head, see, and getting this chance to show he still has it. He can hang still after being gone for God knows how long because WWE wasn't going to use him. In fact, when was the last time they used him? Um, Before his match with Dominik Dijakovic, the last time he was used on TV was oh August of 2018. Then they just relegated him to house shows, and they even had an awesome, what could have been an awesome TV match between Ricochet and him when Ricochet was the NXT North American champion. Yeah, that makes sense. Like this, like this guy brought so much, and I was, and every time I see this guy, who's what, how was he? How big was he? He was nearly 300 pounds, and he could do what a cruiserweight can do. And then you got Dominik Dijakovic, who can do all that, and has now been relegated to Retribution. More on that one day. I've already covered that, but Uh, Luke Harper was just happy to be there. I could tell he was happy to wrestle again after not being in wrestling on TV for months. He gets to show his kid and his wife what he can do again. Why fans were chanting for "Let's go Harper, Let's go Harper, Let's go Harper," and he was just popping out a classic with this guy. And knowing what we would see with Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee, it just makes me a little sad because this match could have been, if it was given the time or the allowance to, it probably could have been a phenomenal classic. Instead, it's just a quality matchup, but not that edge it could have gotten if it was like a Keith Lee and Brodie and Dominik Dijakovic match. In fact, now when I look back on this match, I'm like, man, imagine if Brodie went back to NXT if he got that request, because that was one of the reasons he would be gone, because he couldn't get back to NXT. He kept requesting it. He kept requesting it. Vince kept saying no. He said, go talk to Triple H. Triple H said, I can't do anything. You have to talk to Vince. So basically, Vince lies every single time. But seeing Luke Harper show that he can still hang. And this is one of the problems I had with WWE at this time. It wasn't the fact that Vince had a horrendous reason not to push Luke Harper or give him a shot. It was because it was a systematic building problem Vince made. He kept building up the roster. He kept bloating it up. He couldn't. You can't really like. You can't really like make a match like that. You can't really like have Luke Harper like AEW has enough depth in their roster to fill out a 2-hour show, and they have Dark, and they have BTE to give you a character development problem. Uh, but the problem with WWE is that they're stretched thin. They have too much to give, but they have too little space to do it. And even when they do want to give the chance, they're like 3 minutes, no time chancing of showcasing it. So yeah, it just stresses people out. And then when you look back on what Dominik would do later down the road and what Luke Harper would do, what Harper could have done had he if things went differently in WWE, like this guy should have main event WrestleMania. He proved he earned that spot in 2017. He should have been in that match with Wyatt and Orton. It should have been Brodie's. It should have been Luke Harper's story. But then they went big. But then Ryan Ward was kicked out, and then they said, "You do too much of a good job. We can't have you done this." And yeah, and Dominik Dijakovic and his match with Luke Harper, and then later with Keith Lee was showcasing like, okay, we gotta get this guy to wrestle more people. Like he really should have. Like they're, oh man, like Luke Harper. Luke Harper gets the victory, and the commentators were boasting about how Luke Harper is back, baby. And yeah, he was back. He was back all right. Luke Harper wouldn't wrestle again on SmackDown till spring. Now he wouldn't come back to wrestle. Oh, and this was, and if you remove the Battle Royale he was in, which was barely in it, since that was only 10 minutes, and he was barely in there, he wouldn't wrestle again or show up on TV until September Night of Champions or Clash of Champions. They kept promising all this, no delivery. And when they came back, they never had Luke Harper go out in a singles match. He had some good matches with Eric Rowan, his buddy, his brother in arms, and wrestling Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. After that, it was just he was on the Crown Jewel show, and then after that, it was over. He left. He would be done with WWE, and then go on to have his final run with AEW, and 14 matches in AEW. Man, I'm gonna miss this guy. But to see Dominik Dijakovic and Luke Harper finally have a match together, and then looking back on that match, it's like, oh man, this match could have been so much bigger and more epic if they were given more time, and if they had more of a build up, if they more adapted with each other. Like this was a quality match. They clearly showed potential in it. But if they were allowed to have Luke Harper go back to NXT, work with Dijakovic, imagine the classics he could have had there with Dijakovic. He wouldn't have to have gone to AEW to get what he really wanted, to show what he can bring to the table, to show fans that he wasn't just this big bearded guy, and you had fans screaming, "Not the beard, not the beard," because that was so used to the character. You couldn't, to the wrestler, you couldn't imagine Luke Harper with a beard, even though there was a time he did not have a beard. And I think this was during the Age of the Fall group. But there's just so much that could have been, and what if. I like to imagine in the universe he never passed away. He got to live for another. He got to wrestle for another 10 years. Gone back to WWE, wrestled Bray Wyatt in one hell of a dream match. Have Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper break character, embrace in the ring, and Luke Harper retires. Bray Wyatt wrestles for a few more years, and they do what they promised they would do: go to sit on the front porch and watch little Wyatts go ahead and learn from the veterans laughing into their 70s. And it's just odd to see, but we're not going to see him again, and see what he brung and how much impact he made on people. Like, me and some friends got together on Zoom, and we broke down all crying watching Brodie Lee's tribute show from AEW, and yeah. So, yeah, I think that's about it. Um, Rest in peace. Welcome everyone to 2021. Let's hope we got a much better year ahead of us. If not, then it's the end of the days. But this was Neo Reality WrestleVerse. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other channels in the description, and stay tuned for more. And I'll see y'all next time. Rest in peace, Brodie Lee, the Exalted One.